Welcome back to the Pain Game. Today I'm going to do a UFC video. I had a tweet a couple of days ago saying, come on mate, where's the UFC video? So I thought, he's right, I'm slacking, I need to sort this out. And I think it's because I am, like a lot of UFC fans, just missing the old UFC. The fights felt better, the personalities felt a lot better, and it was because the matchmaking was so dynamic and we would just have these mega personalities just pouring out of the screen. UFC fighters used to cross over the same way Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and other big name boxers have crossed over. The mainstream was forced to take notice of MMA in a way that really it's not anymore. Like, who was the last UFC fighter to cross over? And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the old wrestling days where, I don't know if you know this, but WCW, which is no longer around, became so dominant that they just sort of felt like they didn't need to try anymore, and they took their eye off the ball, and that is how the WWE, as it's now known, came back, took over, and became the dominant force, because the lack of competition for the WCW just made them complacent, and the UFC just doesn't seem to feel the need to make certain fights anymore, or push certain fighters, or to supercharge fighters' careers, because they've just cornered the market. And I guess when you've got that much money coming in, it doesn't really matter. However, for those fans like myself who will just go to wherever the best product is, you're seeing a major shift in the pay-per-view buys now with the UFC, where they keep the numbers fairly quiet, but from everything I've been hearing, they're massively down considerably from years gone by. And don't get me wrong, I still watch pretty much every pay-per-view, but I might not watch the whole thing the way I used to. And I think a lot of fans feel the same way. And there was an interview recently which really hit home for me about the UFC just sort of going through the motions. And it was from Tom Aspinall's dad. And he was asked about how he and Tom found out about becoming UFC champion, which you'll all remember was announced at a press conference in Azerbaijan.
John Jones called us last night and retired. John Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspenol is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
I mean, that's one hell of an excited announcement from Dana White. I mean, calm down, mate. Calm down. And Tom Aspinall's dad in this interview said, I can't think of a worse way you could have done it. I just don't know if pathetic is the word. I just feel like they didn't think about it. For me, the heavyweight championship of an organization is quite a big thing. I don't think Tom deserved to find out at a press conference in the middle of the night. He goes on to say, they just don't do things right sometimes. Of course, they're massively successful, but I think sometimes things like that deserve more thought after everything we've been through with this. And I couldn't agree with him more. It's the heavyweight title of the company. Let's be real here. I know the other titles matter. Nothing matters more than the heavyweight champion of the world. It never has, and it never will. Because ultimately, we all know that's the guy who fucks every other human up. And that is the most coveted prize in all of sport. And what did we get? Tom Aspinall's the new heavyweight champion of the UFC. I mean, come on. Bloody hell, mate. For example, there was a UFC event just a matter of days away where they could have kept the news under wraps, not mentioned anything about John Jones. They could have announced the heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall, could bring him out, here's the title, and get the fans cheering, and just make something of it. At least make it feel somewhat special for a lad who has dedicated his whole life to martial arts and finally has the number one prize in the sport, and it couldn't have been more shit. And I do think John Jones played a massive role in how shit it became and how pathetic he is as a champion. That'll go down in history, ironically. But the pageantry of the UFC, it's gone to zilch. It's just like they don't care. You look at moments we've had in the last 12 months in boxing. For example, not even the biggest fight in boxing, Eubank versus Ben. That moment where Chris Eubank's dad gets out the car and he reveals, I'm here after all of that, maybe he will, maybe he won't. And they capture it on camera. And it's one of the most spectacular moments of the year. The crowd went wild. If that had been a UFC show, would they have captured that moment on camera? Would they fuck? Nothing would have happened. No one would have cared, because that's the level of effort we get every fucking show. And I understand that they're at a point now where the machine is just going and going and going. But those moments, the pageantry, the presentation that they could have done for Tom Aspinall, it helps build stars. And it's almost like they're doing the exact opposite in trying not to do that anymore. And it's just not helping the company, man. And I've got to actually give credit to boxing, and especially Turkey Al Sheikh, for what they've done to bring the magic back and bring the feeling of amazing entrances, amazing spectacles that they've put on in stadiums games. It just knocks the shit out of the UFC right now. And it's funny because right now the UFC have an opportunity to do something very special, and I really don't know if they're going to blow it. But Ilia Taporia and Paddy the Baddy Pimlet, they're in a rivalry, they're in a beef there where you can make a massive title fight. Two fighters who have bags of talent. I mean, Ilia Taporia is on a fucking insane run right now. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this hatred for each other. They can both talk. They can both sell a fight. This would be massive. Back in the day when the UFC really relied on pay-per-view buys, this would have been a gold mine for them. They would have put everything behind it. And I'm at a point now where I don't even know if they're going to make the fight. That's how much the UFC has changed. When a golden goose of an opportunity and you're like, will they even bother? Now let's just take a quick look at Ilia Taporia's second weight world title win against Charles Oliviera. Now Charles Oliviera was taking some mad jabs early on here and he didn't respect what was going on there. That was a tag of, I can fucking clip you, you know. And what I will say is he got a good elbow in of his own on Ilia, and Ilia took it like a fucking champ. Good defensive wrestling as well from Ilia Taporia, man. That was a bit of a question for me. At a bigger weight, how can he handle it? And he did handle it really well. Look at that, man. He's trying to get the takedown, and Ilia swivels those hips and manages to land on top. And already, after a few jabs, he has busted the fuck out of Charles. And as soon as they stand back up, again with the jab, again, like, he's just landing at will, Ilia Taporia. And Charles, I admire him because he's game as fuck, but he's also stupid, man. He didn't see the danger at all. And constantly, Ilia was walking backwards, drawing him in, because he knows when you walk in, ironically, a little bit like Conor McGregor with Jose Aldo, when he walked him into the dead space, cracked him. It wasn't a million miles off of that. Another jab to the body, another jab to the head. And what on... It's a fucking great finish, but every time I watch Charles walk in here, I think, what was that? He's just wide open. Wide open. Like, where is the fucking... Where's the defense? I don't know. But look, we got to give credit to Taporia because he sees it all. And he actually fucking called it before the fight. So this was no fluke.
What are you envisioning now as far as the way the fight goes?
I'm going to finish him in the first round.
it's the casualness. You know, remember when obviously we talk about McGregor. A lot of people have compared him to McGregor because of the natural comparisons. But he's not doing this in a like performative way. It's so casual. I love it. And even when they were facing off in the weigh-in or press conference before the fight, he actually said, I really like Charles Oliviera. And when they were face to face, he just goes, look, I'm sorry, I didn't want it to be with you. That is one of the coldest lines I've ever heard from a fighter, because you can tell this ain't a big stage play for him. He is just being himself. And the trajectory of this guy, man, I think we really need to realize that we're dealing with fucking greatness right now. I mean, how will it go from here? Who knows? But if you compare all the greats and look at their first 17 fights, none of them were undefeated with two different title belts in two different weights. It's insane. And you can't see he's fought bums. I mean, he's knocked out Volkanovski, who's a legend of the sport, Max Holloway, who's a legend and had never been finished before, I don't think, and Charles Oliveira, who holds many records in the UFC. I mean, this is one of the best 3-fight win streaks ever. And he's not even 30 years old yet. And this guy is so special. He's already gone #1 pound for pound. He's that good. People think that Islam Makhachev moved up a weight class just so he didn't have to fight him. Who knows if that's true? I wouldn't say for sure it's true. I wish that fight was going to happen, mind. I'd fucking love to have seen it. But now that leaves Taporia without a natural rival in the division. He needs someone. He needs someone to take him to that next level. The same way Anderson Silva, as good as he was, needed Chael Sonnen. He needs a Chael Sonnen, but he doesn't have Chael Sonnen. What he does have is Paddy the Baddy Pimlet.
Well done, lad.
Look at me.
That was a heavy knockout. I'll give you that respect. But you will never knock me out.
I'm going to submit to you.
Knock me out.
You little pussy. What I'm going to do is
you can't
I'm going to put my balls in
No,
the
you
floor.
can't knock me out. You know I don't get knocked out.
You get knocked out.
I finish you.
Even before the fight.
I finish you, little
Get
man.
that fuck your ass from here.
I finish
Get
you.
Fucking love it, mate. I love it. That was one of those moments where I was like, just take my money. Just make this fucking fight. I don't care about rankings. I don't care about any of that shit. I want to see these two fight because this has been going on between these two for a long time. This is when it kicked off between them in 2022.
The shirt.
Well, fucking not scared of you.
Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch.
Fuck you, man. What, man? I'm still here. Fucking little maggot.
I love it. It's natural beef, right? Whatever the fuck happened, it doesn't matter now. They fucking hate each other.
You were born in Germany and you live in Spain. You're a little mongrel.
Shut up.
That's what you are. You're a little mongrel.
Shut up. If not, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna crush your face right here.
Do it then, you
Mash
little
your-
fart. Do it. Do it then, you little pussy. What? Do it. Do it. Come on, do something then. Do something, stand up. What'll you do? You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing, you little fart. Go and sit back down. Sit back down, you little pussy. Puta.
Fucking pussy.
So this has been happening loads between these two. And actually, Paddy did a bit of analysis on Ilya's win against Charles.
I really like Charles, but what the fuck was that game plan, lad? You know what I mean? Stand in front of him and get punched in the face. First 20 seconds he did a little bit, teeped him, leg kicked, and I was thinking, oh, we could be in for a tough night for Taporia, and then Charles got it once and just started swinging with him. But when he was walking out, I did turn to Graham and say, he looks nervous.
Yeah.
And when Ilya walked out, he was just smiling. I don't know what, as I say, I'd love to know what their game plan was, because that was just, like, it was half embarrassing. What are you doing, just standing in the middle and swinging punches with him?
Yeah.
When he's a top-class boxer and he's got power. It's just, it blew my mind at how stupid he could be after, it was his 47th pro fight.
Yeah.
And he was going in there like an amateur.
Spot on from Paddy, that, isn't it, really? This is the thing about Paddy. He might call him a little pussy, but he understands how good he is. He knows what he's dealing with, and he knows what not to do. Whether he himself would do that remains to be seen. I want to fucking see it. But for Charles to just literally get hit once and start leathering it with him, I mean, it was fucking mental. I think that Paddy gave away a little bit of what should be done there, in his opinion, which might show what his game plan would be, which is to use kicks, keep it at distance, don't fucking get up close with him, because the guy, you know, he's not the biggest guy. Clearly, that would be something that Paddy would want to use to his advantage. And now, a word from our sponsors. Have you had a random phone call in the last couple of months? The ones where there's a random number and they're trying to sell you something, or even worse, trying to con you? Well, that's not a coincidence. The chances are your data has actually been compromised. It can happen to anyone. And if you want to take control of your data, check out the Incogni link in the description below. You can get 60% off your annual plan on me. Now, the reason this is actually an issue is online there's these shady guys called data brokers. They go and scrape the internet for your personal details, your email, full name, address, even your political affiliation. And they then sell that to marketing firms or third parties. And it's gotten to a point where victims have come forward and said that they've been scammed by people using AI voices on them to trick them into giving up their money. And of course, they go after the most vulnerable people, which is why this might be something you want to recommend to others as well. They're always offering high interest loans or sketchy financial products. And this is where Incogni will come in to protect you. They reach out to these data brokers and demand on your behalf that your information be removed from their database. And they don't just stop at that, they are constantly policing the internet to make sure that your details never go back on. So if you're someone who likes privacy, this is the one for you. And there's even a custom removals feature where basically if your details end up on any website that you're not happy with it being on, you can put the link into their system and then their privacy team will investigate it and work hard to get it removed for you. Having Incogni is like having your own personal data removal squad, and they will tackle the internet's trickiest corners for you. All you got to do is click the link in the description, create your Incogni account, and tell them whose data you want removed. You then grant them permission to work on your behalf. Then you just sit back, relax, and they will keep you updated along the way. And the best bit is it's risk-free for 30 days, so you can try it out, and if it's not for you, you'll get a full refund. So take back your personal data now. Click the link in the description below, go to incogni.com/paingame, and you can use my code PAINGAME, all block capitals, all one word, and get 60% off your annual plan. So big love to Incogni for looking after us, but for now, enjoy the video. Now, if there is a criticism of Taporia versus Pimlet, it's that Paddy isn't ready for it yet. In the eyes of some people, they're talking about his last three opponents, that he's won, and he's won decisively. It's an 0-13 combined losing streak for the opponent. So favourable matchmaking may be something that you could easily accuse the UFC of that, because Paddy has star quality, and that's something that they have tried to nurture a little bit. But are we going to say that, a fighter has never been given, a title fight off the back of a fight against a lesser opponent before? I mean, fuck me, let's not forget, Conor McGregor got a title fight after beating Dennis Seaver. Exactly. Yeah. And also, to be fair to Paddy, you can only beat what's put in front of you. And he has improved. And you know what the old saying is? Styles make fights. And Paddy is a very different style to Charles Oliviera. He has Paddy against Chandler, who ironically has one thing in common and one thing only with Taporia. And that's his size, right? He's a very similar size to Taporia. He's a smaller, lightweight. And you look here, Paddy using them kicks. Paddy's massive at that weight, actually. You know, he does try and keep people on the end of his shots and not, you know, get into, you know, stupid fist fights with people where he's going to be at a disadvantage. Obviously, Chandler's got good wrestling, but to be fair, Paddy didn't struggle with it, really. I think he handled the wrestling quite well. And you see Paddy pulling guard like this, right? Look, I'm not saying Taporia isn't good on the ground, but Paddy is a hard day's work for anyone on the ground, in my opinion. He's a tricky guy. He's very slick with submissions, and that's a road to a win for him in his mind. He's going to look at that and think, if I can get you down, I've got a fucking good chance here. The one thing that does worry me is still, you know, the chin is wide open with Paddy, and that is something that he's been, you know, he's working on. His stand-up's improved, but he would know going in there, if I fucking trade with this guy, I'm asking for trouble. That's the sort of shit I'm talking about. Keep him on the end of your kicks, on the end of your punches. Don't let him get in too close. And his footwork would have to be on point. Would I make him a favourite? Of course I wouldn't, man. Taporia's on the fucking run of a great one right now. We can't expect anyone to beat him right now. He's looking like a future legend. But like I said about McGregor, sometimes it's not just about who you've beaten. It's about what do the fucking fans want. And if the fans want this fight, and he's on a 3-fight win streak against decent fighters in the lightweight division, then why the fuck not, man? It's not like we've got, like, all right, there are a couple of guys up there who are higher ranked than Paddy, but equally, does anyone outside of the UFC know who the fuck they are? Because they know who Paddy Pimblett is, generally speaking. Every now and then, it's good to just make one of these fights to regain the interest of everyone. Because if Topuria knocks out another guy who isn't known outside of the UFC, does it go viral? No, probably not. Does he go viral if he knocks fuck out of Paddy Pimblett, who's the biggest loudmouth in the UFC? Abso-fucking-lutely. And if you're trying to turn this lad into a pay-per-view star, which he clearly isn't right now, then that's a way to do it. And more importantly, they both fucking want the fight. Taporia demanded Paddy come into the cage with him. He wanted it.
Paddy Pimblett did come in the cage tonight. Y'all had a little fun. I mean, but, you know, there's Armin Sarukin, there's Justin Gaethje. Is that the fight that you want more than anything else?
Yes, that's the fight that I want. Because with Charles, I had a little bit difficult situation because I really like the guy, you know. He's a really great human being. You can hate him. You always see him surrounded by his family, friends, teammates. He's an amazing human being. But at the end, I was like, this is competition. I have to do my job, and that's it. But with Paddy, I'm really gonna enjoy kicking his ass.
And you already know Paddy feels exactly the same way.
It's the only fight to me. You know what I mean? We haven't seen two people genuinely dislike each other since Conor Khabib. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's always dead cordial and all right. Where I hate him.
I love that. And by the way, he's right. It's been a long time.
I absolutely hate him. Like, I want to inflict pain on his life. You know what I mean? I'd like that fight to go 4 minutes, 50 seconds into the 5th round, and I've landed 907 elbows, and I've disfigured his face. You know what I mean? I don't want a quick knockout. I want to put him through pain.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It's really awkward just being the other guy interviewing someone when they say that. You're like, well, that's nice. Now, obviously, the main person that needs to sign up on this is Dana White. And he wasn't best pleased with the fact that Paddy got into the cage with Ilya after the win.
I know there's a lot of options on the table for Ilya, but when he shows that type of interest in a fight, does that make you want to make it?
Well, I don't know who the hell let him in there. That should have never happened. Let's start there. I was already back in my room, or that would have never happened. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't really think about that stuff tonight, other than, you know, obviously the Van fight. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how this plays out.
And you know what? I hear things like that from Dana. I'm just like, are you a fight promoter? One of the best times to promote the next fight is right after the big win from the champion. You've got everyone's attention. They want to hear what he's got to say. If you start selling the next fight right at that moment, you're going to get way more interest, way more hype for it. It's the oldest trick in the book. Chael Sonnen talks about it all the fucking time. And Dana is so chill and just so, I've completed the game. He doesn't even care about doing that. He's like, yeah, I wish that never happened. I'm like, why? And maybe it's because he likes to retain complete control over what comes next, and he likes to change his mind, and, you know, he doesn't want fighters almost matchmaking for themselves. He wants to be in charge. On the one hand, I get that, but it's such a shame, man. What has the game become?
The game's gone.
The game's gone.
The game's gone. Game's gone.
There's nothing I like more than when a fighter calls another fighter out right after, because then I'm like, well, at least I give a fuck, because if you give a fuck, now I can give a fuck. If you don't care who's next, then why should I care? Basic fight fan logic there. They've been talking shit about each other for years, and part of me was like, well, what's the point in this? One's at featherweight, one's at lightweight. This is never going to happen. And now they're both high up in the rankings of lightweight. One of them's champion, one of them's getting up there. They can both talk shit. They're both good fucking fighters. One of them's a great fighter currently, and Paddy's on his way trying to become great. They're completely fucking different people, which always brings the money in, right? Let's be honest, Khabib and Conor was what it was because they fucking were so different and they clashed. Even down to the football teams. One's a Madrid fan, one's a Liverpool fan. It's a natural rivalry. You could put one of them in a fight between these two in one of those stadiums. It'd be fucking amazing. And for the UFC, I don't know how they can lose here. If Taporia wins, you get the highlight reel knockout, because that's likely how he would win that fight if he did win it. And it goes viral. You know, Paddy, you know, is a big name on social media, and it would bring a lot more attention to Ilia Taporia through that. If Paddy wins, then he's a motherfucking rock star, right? He's like what happened to McGregor after he beat Jose Aldo. You beat someone who people think is unbeatable, and you're the loudmouth. Imagine how unbearable he would be on the microphone.
I'd rather be fat and happy.
It would be fantastic, and I know a lot of people might think, oh, that'll never happen. That's why it makes even more sense to make it happen. Because if he does it, he's done the unthinkable. He becomes a megastar. And I know people might say Paddy isn't the #1 contender. So fucking what, man? Conor McGregor beat Dennis Seaver before they gave him a title shot. Brock Lesnar beat Heath Herring before they gave him a title shot. Those two became two of, if not the two, biggest stars in the history of the UFC. Sometimes, if someone's got star power, they get a bit of a fast track. That's just the business, and that's what's right for business. Providing they haven't already fought the champion and lost multiple times, like what's happening with Tyson Fury right now. Hit the button and beefs are what built the UFC, man. Going all the way back to Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, John Jones, Daniel Cormier, and we can't forget Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz. Nobody thought Nate Diaz was going to win that fight after the way Conor had been winning fights before that. And look what happened in that. We still now would watch a trilogy fight between them two. And it would just be nice for once to watch a UFC event and be that excited and have a main event with a bit of more flavor and a bit more invested in it, and not just be about if you win, you go up in the rankings. If you win, you get a title shot. For all the marbles, this is bragging rights. This is important to them personally. And because of that, it becomes important to us fans more personally. So let's just capture the imagination of the fans again, for fuck's sake, man. Because if the UFC don't make this fight for me, I think it just puts the final nail in the coffin of them ever giving a fuck about making a star again. And we know really that they don't really care about that. And as much as right now, the UFC's business model does not depend on that, because they've got all these rights deals and whatnot. If you look at boxing, if you look at WWE, which are the sports most closely associated with the UFC, you're living and breathing on stars. The fans need them to keep their interest. Otherwise, eventually, you go and spend your money elsewhere. And it might not happen yet, but down the road, it might happen. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the fans don't agree with me on this. I always just speak my mind. You let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Stay subscribed to the Pain Game YouTube channel. I'll see you on the next one.